Hello, lovely sewing friends. I hope you guys are doing well. I am in the midst of a sewing project. Like, I have not sewn for myself for so long because a lot of the stuff that I make or film is mostly for social media and like sewing content. So it's very rare that I actually get to sew for myself and that it isn't like, for filming purposes. However, saying that, I am currently making a skirt and it's out of this beautiful chartreuse fabric. It is so beyond beautiful. I love this color. I think it's so gorgeous. So anyway, it's going to be waistband. Oh, I think I actually have a little drawing somewhere. No, I do not. I threw it away because I already started on my skirt. Anyway, nope, I lie. It's here. So just going to be a basic waistband, waistbanded skirt, but with this one it's going to be a bit different because what I'm doing is I'm actually curving in the waistband, so it's not going to be a straight waistband, it's going to be a curved waistband, so it's going to be very, very gorgeous and very snug on me, so it's custom, so we love that. And then it's going to have pockets and it's going to be gathered, and then there's going to be a button placard down the front. I'm working on that. So speaking of that, I made such an idiot mistake. I was cutting out the placards for the front and I forgot that I actually needed pockets. So I had to sew them back together and then cut out my pockets. So do as I say, not as I do. Anyway, how are you? Are you good? Because I am a bit scatterbrained today. But anyway, at last, I digress. Here's the video that we're talking about. Anyway, so, because I tend to not only make my own clothes, but also draft my own patterns to sew my own clothes, I often find that there are some things that I wear time and time again, exhibit A, and then there are things that I make and then never touch again. And there's some similarities, so we're gonna go over those. A couple of the first things are, so I've got a list. I've actually got a list this time, so I can actually go over it with you guys. So the first one, pockets. If I make something and it does not have pockets, it will not get worn, right? And that is, look, I got my nails done as well, how sweet. If it does not have pockets, I will not wear it because why would you wear something that could have had pockets but doesn't have pockets? I tend to go for a lot of walks and I love to be able to carry my phone in my pocket. Obviously, I'm not special for that, but anyway. And so if something doesn't have pockets, I'll avoid wearing it because I don't want to be carrying my phone all day. So pockets are a must. I tend to go with side seam pockets and I like them to be really big pockets, obviously, right? Like nearly as big as my head. But I also like them to be really big so that I can actually like have my hand fully spread out in there. Thumbnail. Anyway, pockets are a must. And there are a couple of garments I'm going to show you guys for examples for these. And I just realized the one that I had to show pockets for you guys is in my wardrobe, so just stay there for a second. It's this one. So this one has pockets in the side there. On reflection with this dress, they were a bit too far down. They were kind of like mid-thigh. So again, do as I say, not as I do. I tend, because your hand goes down into them, bring them up a bit, up more than you think. So pockets have to be in stuff that I wear. Next point. This is so genius, right? Especially with knit garments that are like tight to the body, lower those armholes, right? Lower those armholes because there is nothing more irritating than getting pinched under the armpit, right? So what I do in all of my knit garments like this turtleneck, I always lower that armhole, because otherwise, okay, first of all, pinched armpits, nobody likes that. Number two, sweat stains, right? So because in winter, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, in and out of doors, you will sweat. But if you have a lower armhole, and also we're talking like 2 or 3 centimeters, we're not talking like 10, we're talking about 2 or 3 centimeters. But I notice that I will, one, reach for garments that have a lower armhole, but also because they don't get sweat stains, like you feel more comfortable wearing them, because if you're putting on and taking off layers, you don't have to be self-conscious that you've got like, you know, sweat stains or anything. Really good tip. The next one is waist ties. So I am an hourglass, right? So so I need garments, clothes, whatever, to cinch me in. And otherwise, I kind of like, this is more like silhouette kind of stuff. But if something hangs off my bust, it goes straight down and I look like a letterbox, and it's just no fun. So I love to have waist ties, or in this scenario, I'll have it cropped, like a, not, I wouldn't call this a crop top, but I would say that this is definitely croppier than normal. But waist ties are a must for me, just to give me a bit more shape, right? So I have this Eden dress. So basically it's like a t-shirt, but longer. And then I have this waist tie that's made out of the exact same material. And you get the idea. So like, I never thought I could do this properly, and I was correct. Waist ties are just so easy to add to a sew, and like it's only a little bit more extra fabric that you just kind of make a strip, and then you can, sorry for those text alert noises, my family's messaging me because Lucy, my sister's dog, has gone with her for a coffee, so please excuse that if you can hear it, and if you couldn't, unnecessary interruption. Anyway, so waist ties can come in one of two forms. An external one, which is cool, or internal through a strip of elastic on the inside. That's always good. I tend to go for external waist ties just because the patterns that I tend to gravitate towards suit it more. But with elastic on the inside, you kind of have to do like a little bit, like you have to make like a casing for the inside. And sometimes depending on where the seams lie, it's not always practical. So I tend to go for a waist tie external to the garment. Hence why this is separate. Now, the next one is, okay, so because I have a bigger bust, I always have to wear a bra. So no halter necks here, please. And what it also means is that the strap width of any kind of like singlet or like top or dress, it has to be a certain width, because otherwise, you know, my bra strap will be poking out all the time, and that's just, I personally, this is personal, I don't like having my bra strap exposed, especially if it's a different color than the thing that I'm wearing. So like, let's say I'm wearing like a blue top and I've got like a black bra strap. It annoys me. 2 separate colors, I can't be doing that. Anyway, so this is an example. I don't think it's the best example of what I'm trying to illustrate. But also, we come back to the elastic waist tie. See, you can see how I've got it kind of cinches in there with the elastic, and I'll show you on the inside. Should have brought this out before I started talking about the strap width. But you can see there, can you? you can see that I created like a little channel for that elastic to go through. See, that was an addition that you could do to your garments. All good, but that's just an example of the waist high, just to give you a bit of shape. Oy, Madonna, Madonna. But you can see here, these, like, I cannot do spaghetti straps, but these, like, they could have been a bit thicker, but I tend to wear this top over like a white t-shirt. But having thicker straps is so useful, especially if you're like me and you have to wear a bra. Otherwise, it's just really uncomfortable. So yeah, those are like 5 main things that I do when I'm sewing clothes. And obviously, as you kind of go through your sewing projects, you'll tend to pick up on what you like, what's a non-negotiable. So for example, for me, it's like waist high. It's a non-negotiable because otherwise I won't wear the thing and it's just going to sit in my wardrobe. I have been very guilty of making things that I do because I want to make something rather than needing to make something to wear. For example, I made this gorgeous gingham dress, square neckline, puffy sleeves, cinched in waist, so that was good. Full length, it was gorgeous. It was in a yellow gingham. Gorgeous. I think I've worn it like 4 times because it's just not practical, right? So when I'm making something, it has to be practical. And so like those are 5 or 6 things that when I'm making something, it has to be. So very fitting that I'm making this skirt now because it has pockets and it has a cinched in waist. Also, another thing I'm going to add to this is I'm going to do a really thick hem. The reason for that is I also like to make things to last a long time. Also, this is a 0 waist sewing pattern. More on that in a minute. But this skirt is going to have a really thick hem, and the reason for that is I like the ability to change the length of the hemline really easily, and a great way to kind of safeguard against wanting to add more on, because for example, the skirt that I'm making now, from the bottom of the waistband to the hem is like 75 centimeters, right? I've made this 80 and then an extra 5 centimeter hem, and that is because I want a really thick hem. One, it gives me the ability to make it longer if when I try it on for the first time, I feel like it's a little bit too short, I can add length to it then. Also, this is so smart, listen to me, I am genius. If I ever get a tear or a rip in this skirt, I've got extra fabric in the skirt that I can unpick and use. So I've got an extra like 10 centimeters in this skirt that I can easily repair my skirt without having to go back through my stash and my scraps and everything, because that is really smart. I'm so good at this. Almost like I do this for a living. Well, hey. Also, another thing is having a thicker hem means that there's more fabric being like, you know, insignificant to the touch or whatever, but it's heavier, so it makes the skirt and the hemline sit so much more easily. So that's another thing. I did have another thing about that. Hemline, thickness, 0 waist, this was it. Also, because this is a skirt and it's gathered and it's all good, it's technically 0 waist apart from like, you know, the curve of this pocket bag. 0 waist, for those of you who don't know, is basically when you use the full width and length and whatnot of the fabric, so that 0 of the fabric ends up on the cutting room floor. So you're really using a lot of the fabrics to its ability. Also, by doing 0 waist, It means that you can cut into it, make something up, and then if you change your mind years down the line, you can cut it up again and make something else, and you know, all that good stuff. And by adding that extra thick hem, I just managed to use up more of my fabric. Otherwise I would have had like this much fabric left over, and it's like, well, it's gonna hang around in my scraps, or it's just not gonna be made into anything. One thing I will wish that I had done is kept some fabric to one side to make a will with a waist free will, which I did not, because I only got as much as I needed. And that's where I'm going to end it. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next time.